Hi, and welcome back to the Inside of My Head, where I've been looking at IDW's Beast Wars comic. Make sure you've checked out part 1, because I'm not going to recap that one too much right here. I'm just going to jump straight in to part 2. So as with Volume 1, Volume 2 starts with another sparring session, this time between Prime and Dinobot, as Megatron tries to decode the golden disc. To his massive frustration, though, he finds that a vital and ominous message from himself, from the future, is corrupted. So he kind of only gets half of it. As I said before, it looks like Pterosaur is assuming the Starscream role here. The guy that always wants to take control because he can do a better job than Megatron, and yada yada yada, you know the deal. But Scorponok is the one who shows some actual acumen and skill in actually organizing things. So he sends Waspinator and Pterosaur out on an Energon recon. I always liked Scorponok, going all the way back to the G1 days, and I was a little disappointed with how Beast Wars made him this kind of thick skulled muscle brain. So I'm glad that he's getting a little more savvy here. Dinobot later describes him as the only one of the Preds that really believes in the Predacon cause, and he will do whatever he believes is in the best interest of the cast, as opposed to the others who are just tagging along for their own selfish reasons, whether that be to plunder, or sow chaos, or whatever it is that gets their blood up. Then there's that gender politic bullshit that creeps in as Pterosaur and Waspinator talk about how Scold, remember the new female character that turns into a turtle, is actually stronger and better than any of them, but they need to keep undermining her confidence so that she doesn't realize that she could give them all a pasting. So yes, Pterosaur is actually gaslighting. Yeah. What the hell this is doing in a Transformer comic, I don't know. They just want to put this stuff in everything these days. Anyway, first stasis pod to drop is Blackarachnia, and she's not shown scanning for her alt mode. She just pops out as a spider, which at first I thought was kind of odd. But then I remembered that when Tarantulas broke into the Axelon, he uploaded some kind of code which would imprint Predacon characteristics onto that protoform. So I guess that explains it. Anyway, Blackarachnia then gets into a fight with an alligator, and this happens. So she's fighting, right? Fight, then slick. Okay, panel, then it schlicks, and then the next panel is her climbing out of the water. So what happened? I'm guessing she stabbed it with her spider legs here, but I really hate it when comics do this. If you don't want to show too much violence, then there'll be another way of showing it, surely. I think what it is that it's easier to draw this than it is to draw some sort of complicated action with like two characters sort of wrapped around each other, or, like a gunshot with lots of debris or blood or whatever flying around. That all takes a lot of time. So yeah, schlicked. Then, somehow, Blackarachnia manages to sneak on board the Axelon without being detected, which is odd, as normally it only lets Maximals through the shielding. This is probably because she was originally a Maximal protoform. But she's discovered by Cheetor sneaking around the Axelon, and she spins him up in a web, which pisses him off no end because he should be too fast to be caught like that. And she accesses the Maximal computer bank, but when she's discovered doing that, she uploads a corruptive file which orders the remaining pods to descend from their orbit in order to distract the Maximals so that she can escape. Does that make sense? Basically, she's discovered dicking around in the computer, so she sabotages the stasis pods, so the Maximals kind of panic and go, oh my god, we can't lose all these Maximals, which gives her the opportunity to skulk out. And just as Tarantulas did with her, this file that she uploads overwrites the Maximal code within the protoforms and replaces it with Predacon traits. But luckily, she only managed to upload 50% of this code, so only half of the pods. Maybe I'm explaining this in a really complicated way. Right, so she tries to make the protoforms Predacons, but only manages to upload 50% of the code. So half of the stasis pods become Predacons, half stay Maximal. What happens to the third half? Well, it must be a plot hole. Anyway, because of this, Optimus gets all pissed off that this is where his passive approach has led them, so he orders a change of tactics which will lead the Maximals on the offensive. Anyway, back with the Predacons, Blackarachnia explains what's happening, and they're all like, yay, more Predacons! And Scold goes, ooh, Blackarachnia, you're cool, I wish I was more like you. And then Blackarachnia goes, shut the f*** up, bitch! And Pterosaur is like, ha ha ha, shut the f*** up, you turtle bitch! And Scold is like, oh, nobody likes me! And I was like, what the fuck? And it's kind of weird. It gets even weirder because she goes off all butthurt and stuff and inadvertently discovers a stasis pod containing Razorbeast, who is strangely friendly and starts asking her a bunch of personal questions like, did you always want to be a scout? To which most people will reply, who the f*** are you, man? I just met you. But no, she goes, oh no, actually I wanted to be an artist. which then prompts a flashback to her days on Cybertron where she's trying to be this artist, but everyone's telling her, "No, shut the f*** up, you can't be an artist." Oh, nobody likes me. But unfortunately, this gripping story is interrupted by a pack of Iron Wolves who attack them, and Razorbeast is badly wounded and goes into stasis lock. And Skold is like, "No, my only friend!" So she takes him back to the Maximals where she gets into an altercation with Dinobot after he suggests that she turns coat to the Maximals too. But instead of going, "Yeah, alright then," she turns around to him and goes like, "F you, I'll kick your ass, you traitor." And the whole point, I guess, is that she's gradually getting more confident. And yes, it's all getting kind of off track, isn't it? Choosing to spend more time with this new character and fudging in some story about female empowerment, like, I don't know, man. Like, it's obviously trying to get a message through to any readers who might be introverted and getting picked on because they're introverted. That's obviously what they're trying to do. And I get it. They're hoping that kid will see this character and go, "Oh, there's somebody like me out there," you know? I personally would have thought that the best thing you can do for a kid that's getting bullied because they're shy is just give them their fucking escapism. Let them think about something else for a little while. I don't know, that's just my view on it. Anyway, we go back to Optimus Primal, and he's still talking about getting more aggressive with the Predacons, and it's here that Dinobot explains a little bit more about the origin of the gold disc that this whole thing revolves around. Basically, it was stumbled upon by an Energon miner who was harvesting an asteroid. For Energon, obviously, he took it back to the science ministry on Cybertron, who were like, "Ooh, this is from the future, but we can't decode it, so let's just brush it under the rug," kind of downplay the whole thing. But one of the scientists disagreed, thinking that all the findings from the study of this thing should be made public. But he wasn't able to persuade the rest of the ministry to make the findings public, so he made a deal with Megatron to steal it. Anyway, Primal's plan to take the fight to the Preds involves refitting an escape pod into this fighter jet, then retrieving the remaining stasis pods, then getting a transwarp beacon to communicate with Cybertron.
"Hi Cybertron, it's me. I got stuck in the past. Can you please send a pickup truck?"
So they spring a surprise attack on the Predacons, and Pterosaur grabs Razorbeast and drops him onto some unstable Energon, which blows him up good. So Scold rips his spark out of his chest. Nyx fights Tarantulas while Cheetor goes for round 2 with Blackarachnia, and Waspinator takes a beating from, well, everyone really, Prime, then Dinobot. I mean, he's pretty much just the whipping boy. The Maximals manage to get the golden disc, but get captured in the process and have to trade the disc back for their freedom. And considering that Megatron has gone to such lengths to get the thing in the first place, he can't bear to see it destroyed, so he lets them go. But you can see how that's grinding him up inside. He's like, "Oh, I was really looking forward to murdering them horribly and pulling their limbs off." And right here I was thinking, well, what was the point of all this if the Maximals didn't get the disc? Why did they go to this whole... Did they just launch this assault all for nothing? But it turns out Rat Trap made a copy of the disc for them to study, so it wasn't in vain. After all, I don't know why I said it like that. Then we get an epilogue showing Tarantulas messing around with Pterosaur's dead body, eventually resulting in him bringing him back to life as Zombie Pterosaur. And as we'll see in the next vid, this guy pretty fierce. So overall, this middle volume was kinda average. It was nice seeing Razorbeast back again, although he didn't really have much of a role to play. His character seemed to be put in here just to add more to the Scold character and her arc. If you don't know anything about Razorbeast, he's characterized as a stubborn infantry fighter, and I guess he was never really the most important character anyway. The fact that he comes out of his stasis body and he's just like, "Hi, wanna be friends?" is a little bit odd, but if you really wanted to defend this thing, you could say that, you know, he's kind of like a blank canvas. He's kind of like nothing's been imprinted on him yet. He doesn't know anything about the war, but I don't know. To me, it really feels like he's just been put in here for Scold. I had the same issues as I had in Volume 1 regarding the way that Megatron's alt mode is drawn sometimes.
2 + 2 is 4. 2 + 2 is...
And in this one, I found the random bits of humor to be exactly that, like just a little too random. Like Scorponok suddenly had a Coach baseball cap on at one point. Waspinator is seen sleeping with a teddy bear. The rubber ducky comes and goes, but yeah, you know, it's fine. There's not a problem. It's just kind of rando. There was another interesting thing I noticed where Skold goes off on a lonely walk, remember that bit? And then she eats a fish, and it's explained that another function of the biotech alt forms is to harvest energy from organic life and convert it into energon. I don't know, I thought that was interesting, and in fact it made me wonder why, if that is the case, why we haven't seen Predacons doing this more often. So that's the end of Volume 2. Make sure you're subscribed for Part 3, which I hope to have uploaded in a few days, which sees some more of the pods come down, more characters brought in, and some very cool ones as well. And actually, it doesn't go the way you think. So make sure you don't miss that, and I will see you very soon for the next one. Thank you very much for watching, and cheerio, bye!